In 2019, YouTube was caught violating the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Since settling, YouTube has enacted new policies that are meant to serve as a smokescreen so they can dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators. As such, for my own protection, it is my obligation to advise you that this video is not aimed at children. My target audience is not children. Parental discretion is advised. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Today, we will be looking at the Doctor Who 2021 New Year's Special, Revolution of the Daleks, written by Chris Chibnall. As always, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place, so if you have not seen Revolution of the Daleks yet, I suggest pausing this video and coming back when you've finished it. And right off the bat, this is a really good episode. I think for me personally, because everyone has different opinions, the Chibnall era is the best New Who has ever been. It's not the best overall. It ranks high up in my favorites, my favorite being 80s Who. But yeah, no, certainly for me, it's the best the revived series has ever been. And Revolution of the Daleks is a perfect showcase as to why. I like that this is a sequel to Resolution. I like that the plot threads from the end of that story are picked up here to keep it going. It also helps explain the design of the new Daleks. More on that in a little bit. Really, this story's biggest weakness is the first act. The first act is dreadfully slow. The pacing is so bad. But once you get past that first act, after the Doctor is broken out of prison and meets up with everyone again, the story starts picking up really fast, and that's really when it starts getting good. Speaking of which, I don't know where and now here's where the talking points all verge off into different paths, and I don't know which path to take first. Okay, here's one I'll start with. So, I forget when last year, but it might have been late summer, early fall. There was an announcement that Jack Robertson, Chris Noth's character from Arachnids in the UK, would be returning for this special. And I was incredibly worried about that because Arachnids in the UK is the worst episode of the Whittaker era, which overall has been great. Really, with the exception of 3 episodes, Arachnids in the UK, The Battle of Ranskurav Collis, and Orphan 55, the Whittaker era at its worst is average. But anyway, yeah, no, to feature this character from, again, the worst episode of this era, I was incredibly nervous. Thankfully, he's much better here. He's very toned down from the caricature he was in Arachnids in the UK, and it's obvious that what he was meant to be in that story is not the same thing here, which is very fitting given recent real-world events. Do I want to talk about... Yeah, which I guess I'll talk about that right now, too. The political commentary of this story feels really outdated. And don't get into me with the whole politics thing. Here's the thing. When it comes to political messaging, Doctor Who has never been subtle. So if you're going to complain about the Whittaker era's politics, which are virtually non-existent, minus 1 or 2 cases, you kind of have to complain about the Pertwee era, almost every story written by Robert Holmes, etc., etc. But anyway, back to the point I was trying to make. Yeah, this story's politics feel really outdated, because Robertson is helping a woman named Jo. I forget her last name, so for the sake of the story, I'm just going to call her Prime Minister Jo. And it's kind of very obvious that, if memory serves, Series 12, and possibly the story, was in production and development... Nope, I just forgot how to word that. Okay, so let's try that again. Prime Minister Jo is obviously meant to be a depiction of Theresa May. Because I think, Theresa May's tenure as Prime Minister is when Series 12 was in development and production. And that's what I mean by this story's politics feel outdated. But despite that, Jo is okay. She's nothing great, and as the story keeps going on, her role keeps getting reduced. But, for what we have, she's fine. I don't really have any problems with her. Now, and since I'm starting to talk about characters, I'll move on to the main cast now. The Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, gives another brilliant performance as the Doctor. Especially after she gets broken out of prison. The whole prison segment feels kind of pointless. And if it wasn't for some throwaway lines, about why she's there, or the context of series 12, how the Jadoon were looking for a different doctor, um, I would have had more issues, but we get just enough that it's a non-issue, and ultimately it just feels kind of pointless. But again, once she's out of the prison, Jodie Whittaker gives another phenomenal performance. She plays off the villains of her era so well. And she has several great scenes here, like after breaking out of prison, her scene with Jack in the TARDIS, her scene with Ryan later on, which I'll discuss when I talk to Ryan. Just her scenes with the Daleks are great. My one thing, though, is I felt like they backtracked on her character a little bit, because in The Timeless Children, after the Master revealed to her what she was and had her entire worldview shaken, she was very, not sad, not angry, confused. She was very confused about it. And then she had that vision of the fugitive doctor, Joe Martin, who told her, why does it matter? Why does your past matter? It doesn't matter where you came from. It only matters who you are now. You are the Doctor. And that gives the Doctor the resolve she needs to break out of the Matrix and finish her confrontation with the Master. And now she's back on it, It's like, she already resolved this. Why is she back on it? But again, just beyond that one minor nitpick, Jodie gives another great performance. It's strong performances like these, and Series 12, and most of Series 11, that really show why she is my favorite Doctor. Also, no, I'll wait on that. I'll wait on that till I talk about the Daleks. Boy, I'm saying stick a pin in that a lot. And then there's Jack. Jack was fine. He was fun. He had great energy. He interacted well with everyone. John Barrowman is really charismatic. He was fine. Here's the thing. Jack is not a companion I feel very strongly towards. I don't hate him. I don't have any issues with him. I'm just very neutral on him. But he is a lot of fun. Yaz, I really like that how proactive Yaz was in this. It finally feels like we're starting to see more of her. Although I am also very worried because at the start of this episode, it's been 10 months since The Timeless Children. And while Ryan and Graham have sort of taken to keeping an eye on the Earth for the Doctor, Yaz is still looking for her. When we first meet her, she is obsessing in the second TARDIS over where the Doctor is. She is still trying to find her. And then when she comes back and they start trying to figure out what's going on with the Daleks, she has this wonderful scene with Jack talking about what it's like traveling with the Doctor. And she brings up how hard it's been to acclimate back into normal life. And that makes me really worried because it seems like Yaz is starting to fall into the New Who companion trap of idolizing and worshiping the Doctor. It's, that devotion, that type of devotion to the Doctor that I'm going to be a little cruel here. Sorry. It's that type of devotion to the Doctor that really ruined Rose and Clara. It feels like Yaz is heading down that way based on her devotion to the Doctor in this episode. For once, even when he wasn't the focus in terms of companions, for once, Graham was the weak link here. It feels like they didn't have a lot for him to do, so he really was just tagging along for the ride. Ryan was okay. This might actually be Ryan's best episode, or his second best after Can You Hear Me? But it took me a while to figure out what was going on with Ryan. Like, I think by 40 minutes in, it finally clicked with me what was going on, because he seemed just very angry for no real reason. And then we get his brilliant scene with the doctor, where he mentions she was gone for 10 months. No one knew what happened to her. And compared to Yaz, he acclimated back into normal life. And he realizes while he was gone, there were people, his friends and family, who needed him back on Earth, which again ties back into Can You Hear Me? During Ryan's nightmare, he meets his friend as an old man, and his friend asks, "Where have you been?" Shortly before he's attacked by a dreg from Orphan 55. That's not important, but this ties so well into Orphan 55. Ryan's biggest fear is when the people who need him, he won't be there. And it finally clicked with me. And Ryan finally clicked with me. He's empathetic. He feels very strongly. He shoulders other people's pain. He wants to help them. And, along with the 13th Doctor being an optimist, Ryan being an empath, I'd like to think I'm very empathetic. So, again, that's just another way. That's just a way that Ryan connected with me. And I think if I rewatch series 11 and 12, it'll help me get a better understanding of Ryan. And before I talk about Ryan and Graham some more, oh shoot, I forgot about that. Oh well, it's getting together. Let's talk about the other star of this story, the Daleks, which were so fantastically done. Thus far, as far as I know, Chris Chibnall has written for 4 classic monsters: the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Master, and the Silurians. Really, the Silurians are his only misfire. The Daleks, in both their appearances, have been utterly phenomenal. The Master, for Chibnall as a writer, might it be his best outing. The Cybermen were great for 2 of the 3 episodes they were in. But really, it's the Daleks. Chris Chibnall shows just how much he gets the Daleks. And I will be kind of honest, considering their last major appearance, not cameo, their last major appearance was the Series 9 opener, which is the episode of Doctor Who I hate the most, because it gets the Daleks so wrong. I am so glad to see a writer who so understands the Daleks. The best moment I can think of is when they meet Robertson's assistant, when the main group meets Robertson's assistant, Leo, and the Doctor tries to plead with the Dalek, saying, "You don't have to kill him." And the Dalek responds, "True, I don't." And proceeds to kill him anyway. There is no, it doesn't matter who wins or loses as long as there's mercy here. It is a cold, aggressive, hate-filled killing machine, which is what the Dalek is. And I think it's a strength of Chibnall that he spends so much time focusing on the Dalek mutant itself, because I think from time to time we all forget about the mutant inside the Dalek. And it's, like I just said, I think it's a strength to to spend so much time on the mutants. That being said, if Chibnall does do a 3rd Dalek story, I would not like him to I would like it if he didn't tread that road again. And so essentially what happened is Robertson's assistant Leo, in analyzing the Recon Dalek from Resolution, which as another sorry, I've been talking a lot. So Robertson found the Recon Dalek from Resolution and was using them to build defense drones. And while he was analyzing them, Robertson's assistant Leo found organic material in the destroyed casing and proceeded to clone it, which is what these Daleks are. I just want to say I love the design of the clone Daleks. I think this design, now not just not seeing screenshots and seeing it in action, may have shot up to one of my favorite Dalek designs. They look really sleek. Like I said, there was a Radio Times cover that showed them, and they were lit up with blue lights, which didn't look good. But when the Daleks take over and those lights switch to red, it looks so cool. They have new voices, which is really refreshing because I feel like unless it's a special Dalek, like the Dalek Time Controller or the Dalek Time Strategist or the Dalek Emperor, unless it's a special Dalek, Nicholas Briggs just does the same Dalek over and over again. So I like the new voices the clone Daleks have. I like the new laser effects. They look really sick. I just love everything about these Daleks. Which sort of leads to the big climax of this story. When the Doctor realizes there is only one way to stop these Daleks. And that's more Daleks. And that's one thing I want to bring up about Jodie Whittaker that I forgot to bring up at the beginning. A lot of people tend to compare her to David Tennant or Matt Smith in terms of character. And it's simply not true. In comparison, she is much closer in character to Tom Baker or Paul McGann, where she's just a freewheeling, fun-loving, adventurous spirit. She just wants to go on adventure. She wants to have fun. But then she does things. She does things like she undoes the Master's perception filter and leaves him to the mercy of the Nazis. Or here in Revolution of the Daleks, she restarts the Dalek Civil War. So on top of being a little bit of Tom Baker and Paul McGann, there's a little bit of Sylvester McCoy in there too, which I really like. But yeah, no, she restarts the Dalek Civil War, realizing it's the only way to destroy these Daleks. Which also leads into some of my problems with Robertson, because, again, he was great most of this episode. It's the ending I have problems with. It's the ending of his particular story. He tries to ally himself with the real Daleks, and then he's seen as a hero for fighting the invasion. I'll get to that in a second too. Not that particularly, but him allying with the Daleks kind of makes sense. He's a scuzzball, but it feels pointless. It feels like once Chibnall brought this character back, he didn't know what to do with him. So, yeah, it feels like this is tacked on. And then the thing that really bugs me about this is he gets no comeuppance. After Arachnids in the UK, and then after this, he still has not reaped what he's sown. It makes me wonder if Chibnall has plans for this guy or something, because as we've seen with his other shows or his other things, Chibnall likes to play the long game. So, if he shows up again, one, I hope that's the last time, and two, I hope karma destroys him. But, like I said, Chris Noth is a great actor, and I really did like him this time around. I love how the Doctor defeated the real Daleks. It also addresses the second TARDIS from the Timeless Children, if the Doctor has a new TARDIS that works, why is she still using the old one? Why doesn't she just use the new one? And I like that she destroyed it to destroy the Daleks. It closed it up nicely. And I suppose that really brings us to Ryan and Graham's exit. I think. I feel like there's something I'm missing, and it's bugging me. But, yeah, so Ryan, when the Doctor proposes going on another adventure, Ryan decides he's done. The 10 months he's been back home, he's realized how much he's missed. He's realized how much the people important to him missed him, and he decides to leave. Which, first of all, I love, We really haven't had a companion since Martha choose to voluntarily leave the TARDIS. And Martha was really the odd one out in that regard in New Who, but really, that should be the norm, I feel, you know. The Doctor not forcing anyone to leave, no one dying. That got really annoying with Moffat's era, because all of his companions had the same exit, possibly barring River. You know, that whole, I'm dead! Not really, but I'm leaving in a way that promises you'll never see me again. But the companions choosing to voluntarily leave. Once again, that should be the norm. And that's one of the things that annoys me with New Who. It's not. But Ryan's exit was handled so well. And Graham as well, for that matter. Like I said, Graham is the weak link, but I really liked his exit too. You know, him choosing to be with his family. You know, he likes the adventure, he has fun, but he realizes family is more important. And I love that the episode ends with them, you know, and ends how the woman who fell to Earth began. And I love that they both see grace. It's really heartfelt, but it doesn't feel manipulative, if that makes sense. It tugs on the heartstrings, but it doesn't try to force itself the way some of the other endings try to do. And while I'm not sure how I would feel about Revolution of the Daleks in other categories, like as a Dalek story, as a holiday special, etc., it has certainly jumped probably into the top 3 of my favorite companion exit stories. Overall, Revolution of the Daleks is just great. Aside from that really dreadful first act, everything beyond that is wonderful. And I'm going to give Revolution of the Daleks an 8 out of 10. But those were just my thoughts on Revolution of the Daleks. What were yours? Start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload, and in the description box below, you'll find the link to my Twitter where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.